Hey, YouTubes, it's October 10th, 2025, or it's 10:10 p.m. on October 10th, which would be 10:10. All right, let's start off with a dad joke. I must say I was wrong about my chiropractor. I stand corrected. Now, it's funny a little bit about that, obviously, is tonight we're going to be talking about are you seeking correction? But I've always had issues with chiropractors, and I had a situation when I had one car accident about 15 years ago, and I went to see this Olympian who became a chiropractor, and he gave me, I think, one, maybe two adjustments, and he made my situation worse. And he might have been the strongest person I've ever come across. His hands were like vice grips, and he was smaller than me. But as they say, like a lot of the gymnasts who do like the rings and stuff like that, they're just some of the strongest people in the world because of how much they're using their arms all the time, like to even propel and lift their body. So I just remember him being extremely nice, but maybe I didn't go enough times to the chiropractor to allow him to adjust me the way he should. But he put me on this table and he started like giving me these like unbelievably powerful shoves to realign my hips at the time. And I was overweight. I hadn't started my weight loss journey and all that jazz. And I just remember leaving sore, and I was sore for weeks after. But actually, thankfully, now I'm with a chiropractor who's not as invasive, and they're doing a fantastic job. Uh, just, just fantastic work overall. Shout out to Andrew if he ever is watching. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about are you seeking correction? Are you seeking correction? Now we're going to start off with our prayer requests as always. If anyone in the chat would like to send out some prayer requests or a prayer request, I'm more than happy to pray for them tonight or at any time. Please let me know. So the prayer request right now from today is there was sadly another earthquake in the Philippines. Just really troubling there. I think it's 3 earthquakes in 3 weeks. One of my coworkers was just telling me that their family is safe, but it's been pretty scary, and they're expecting a typhoon coming in. Yeah, typhoon or tsunami, just brutal. There's the ceasefire in the Middle East. Hopefully, that can be sustained as a lot of these, again, women and children are migrating back into their broken homes, and just the chaos on both sides is just awful. Sadly, there's been another 54 deaths in Sudan more recently. The war just does not seem to stop there, and the different forms of persecution that the church is under. So I'll be praying about that tonight. If anyone else has any prayer requests, please let me know. And or if you're watching this in the future and you have a prayer request, drop it in the comment section, and myself and or others will be praying for you. So without further ado, I'll take it to the creator of our universe. Such a privilege and a pleasure to stand in spirit in front of a holy God. The fact that you are watching, that you are ever powerful, that you're ever knowing, you're the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. You're beyond anything we can understand. I thank you that we can speak with you. I pray, Lord, right now for the earthquakes in the Philippines. I pray for the tremors, the fallout, the issues that are going on. I just pray that you would give those people peace, give them wisdom as how to live, how to brace their homes, and just hopefully no one gets hurt. But if they do, I pray you give them medical wisdom and just wisdom overall in how to deal with these terrible situations. Again, Lord, if it's on anyone's heart, I pray that you'd press it on, or sorry, if you would press it on their heart and they would feel it in their heart, that they could help financially or physically. I didn't even go on a missions trip or something like that. Pray that you'd bless them and put them on that trajectory, and that they'd be open to that. I pray for the ceasefire in the Middle East. It's just awful to see all these people who are malicious, it seems like, against each other, a nation rising up against nation, and religion against religion in this situation. And I just pray for Christians to be peacemakers. And sadly, there are Christians on both sides, and in most wars are dying. And I pray for my Christian brothers and sisters and future Christian brothers and sisters who haven't come to know the Lord yet. Pray for Sudan as it's just consistently bombarded with death and political issues and problems. I pray that with these 50 plus people who've just passed, who've just been killed, just pray for their families and for restoration somehow. And again, we have hands and feet, Lord. I pray that you'd help us to be used by you to love them. And just the different forms of persecution that are going on right now in Nigeria, in China, in India, in different parts of the Middle East, some parts of the West as well, as things are, changing a bit and some churches are being burned. I just pray that you give us boldness and strength, but a deep meekness, strength and power under control and peace. Just thank you for all these things in Jesus' holy name. Amen. All right. So just no prayer requests, so I guess we shall begin. Are you seeking correction? Are you seeking correction is the topic for tonight. And my first question to everyone is, are you listening to good or bad advice? Over the past 25 to 30 years, I've had a lot of good and bad advice come my way, and it's taken me a shorter and shorter amount of time to filter it as I get older. But I do remember some major points in my life where I had some really amazing people in my life giving me fantastic information, and I had some amazing people in my life that were giving me some terrible, terrible advice. And maybe sometimes the advice isn't even for you. It's good advice, but it's just not for you. So really want to look at that tonight and just kind of peel back some of the layers of the onion. So we've covered a lot over the past few weeks. We're just kind of doing this deep dive into addiction and problems. And some of you may know I have a book that I'm going to hopefully be completing in 2026, which is 30 Steps Towards Destroying Addiction. And so we've been covering a lot of these points. I want to get out there and help as many people as possible with their addictions and with their problems. And lately we've covered the issues with patience and patience with yourself, and giving this the real hero's try, the long version behind it, as well as creating boundaries, dealing with our past, our hurt inner child. And so tonight it's time to think about, okay, we're starting to hopefully gain some wisdom and knowledge. And if you haven't seen those streams or those shorts that I've made or those long form videos, please take a look at my channel. Give this video a like, a share, subscribe if you feel like what I'm doing is worthwhile and bringing glory to God. So as we look for wise counsel, we are in a position and place where we would like to be corrected. We think it's necessary in our life. And sometimes it's, maybe people don't understand this, but when you go and get wise counsel or good mentorship, it's usually hard messages to hear, because they are people in your life who care about you. They're going to give you things that the average person are not going to give you, because they really do care about you. Most people, have a fluff relationship with you. So we want to take those people and really care about them and really process and guard ourselves up and allow the right people to say the right words into our hearts, because these are pivotal moments, especially when you're in the beginning stages of seeking mentorship or wise counsel. It really does need to be the right person, because if it's not, they could lead you down the wrong road or cause you to even, relapse, or worse comes to worse, even run away from all of the wonderful steps that you've already started taking to breaking your addictions or getting closer to God, or a number of things in between. So seeking the right correction keeps us honest. It keeps us accountable. It also keeps us from those blind spots, from allowing ourselves to continually stumble in those ways. And it's usually a pathway that maybe we haven't really thought of taking, or if we've thought about the pathway, an outline as to how to go, where to go, which turns to turn off at, which places to avoid, which is the places to stop. And like I said just a few moments ago, there are people who are good advisors and bad. They give good and bad advice, but sometimes they're not bad people or bad actors. What they are is giving you advice that pertains to their life and their situation, and they're just regurgitating. Maybe they're not really good at listening or being able to contort information and allow it to be placed into your life for your needs. And I think that's something that we really, as people who want to mature and want to grow, We need to have, again, those boundaries and patience in the situation to see if those people have the right fruit in their lives that we want to follow after. So, as per usual, I usually try to give a story. So, I'll kind of give you my background, right? People that can work with you to get you to the best possible place for yourself, the best version of yourself. So, I say in my 20s, I tried to gain influence in a lot of different circles. I would go to business meetings, entrepreneurial meetings. I would meet up with millionaires, and I've even met at least a billionaire in the different arenas of sports. I was doing sports writing for a while, in creative spots like going to spoken word and meeting some pretty famous artists too. And I used to be in film, so I was always in this place of looking for that person to help me out because I knew there was a big void in my life. I was at times, they say it's 6 or 7 degrees of separation, and at times I was 1 degree of separation away from a person like a Ben Stiller, or I was one person away from a Mike Clemens, Pinball Clemens, or I guess I'm trying to think of different, famous people in different realms of society. So I was a person I'm seeking mentorship, and I was looking for it, and I would, try to like just latch on and spend time with smart people. And I just really wish to have someone to call my own and call a mentor, because I was struggling with not having a good dad in my life, not having a good structure in my life. And so as time went on, I kind of made myself known in these circles that I was looking for someone, and I must say that was a pretty bad move, because people started to size me up, and they started to, I think put their own agendas on me. Now I was happy because I was getting noticed, and that's kind of what ends up happening when you become a person who is looking for attention. When you're an attention seeker and you're not being patient and humble and kind and working through things and having deep conversations with people, people will end up, bad characters will end up trying to use you. And that's a very bad place to be. So as I got to know some of these people who started to show an interest in me, I really didn't like their lifestyle or their choices. And I went from like very overeager and very much like really wanting to enjoy this amazing time that I could have with them into, oh man, like I feel trapped right now. I thought, I was wasting their time sometimes. I didn't understand why I would feel this way, why I went from like really aching to be around, these mentors, these 100,000aires, these millionaires, again, even billionaires. I felt that things were just not going my way. And I didn't understand, because I had put forth all the signals. I had, started caring so much about what other people, were saying. I was hanging on their every word. But then I started to get to know who they were, what they were about, and their lifestyle choices just didn't match up with who I was and what I was going for. And then something kind of dawned on me one day after weeks and months. I realized that, there are times when a mentor can search you out, but when mentors usually are searching for a mentee, it's usually not a great situation, because they may be too eager to teach. They may be in a situation where things are not going as well as they wanted to, because if they're super busy, chances are, unless they're older and retired, they're probably working on their craft more than being concerned about mentoring someone. And I found that the best type of mentors are the ones that are consistently living it out. And then you inevitably say, wow, I want to be around that person all the time, because they just are oozing the kind of personality and thought process and life that I want to lead. So when I figured that out, I pulled back for a while, and I realized that I needed to recalibrate even what I wanted, what I needed. And I did wish I had someone along the way to kind of point me in that direction. But instead, I prayed a lot, and inevitably, I had been praying for about 10 years for a mentor, and this was about at the 5-year point. But within another 4 or 5 years, I finally met Dr. CCAT, who's been my mentor over the past 12 years. And I met other people over the years, and I've met some really impactful, wonderful people, but there was no one like him in my life. And I pray that everyone has an experience to meet someone who they can really look up to and say, hey, they're pointing me to God, or hey, they're doing a fantastic job. And he started to really challenge me, and he started to share with me insights and things that I'd never seen before. And our personalities were so intertwined and so uniquely the same and uniquely different. But this whole time, he wasn't concerned about praising me. He was concerned about doing things and saying things for my own good. Even when I would squirm or be frustrated or be angry with him, he wouldn't stop. He was relentless, but he was a loving relentless. He was like chasing after me, making sure that I was doing the right thing on a consistent basis. And how could I argue with him? When you choose a mentor, you're choosing them because of who they are. When someone chooses you, you kind of feel like, okay, well, maybe I can brush them off, brush them aside. But when you actually are choosing to embark in their life and understand what they're doing and even serve them and help them, then you have no one to blame but yourself. And I'm so thankful that he accepted me as his mentee. And well, at the end of the day, I think the Spirit did. So I'm so thankful for that connection that we both had. And I know that over the years, I've been a blessing to him, serving him in ministry. And he's even shared some interesting thoughts as, not that we're any close to equals, but I think he trusts me to a certain degree. And that's something that you want over time, is a great long lasting relationship, especially when you're brothers in Christ, which is amazing. Okay, we also have to consider that when we want something like this, it's probably because we're already at a place where we want to get better. And so we again need to seek that counsel, and then we can inevitably get the correction we need, but we need to choose it wisely and who we listen to. So my second main point tonight is that now that we found out the who, we need to know the what. What types of things need to be corrected in our lives? In general, in life as men, we are consistently said and told to be an island. We are told to educate ourselves, to work hard, to internalize a lot of the information that we receive. We are taught to, if you don't do it on your own, you're not a man. Aside from if you're playing sports, and even when you're playing sports, there's such an element of pride in being the man, even on the team. And you find that some of the greatest winners and people of all time were actually team players who were very open and adamant about what they were doing. And you find that those people are usually amazing. They're not maybe the GOATs in their sport, but they are, fantastic winners. And then you have the goats in the sport, the people who you don't want to be around because of who they are, and how they act and how they treat people, because they're the man. They have to do everything on their own. They're the islands. So you think of Brady, you think of Jordan, you think of Djokovic, you think of a lot of these athletes who are at the top of their game, and they're just hard to be around. It's because they are the island. They are themselves. They're not working together with other people. You don't hear them speaking kindly of others. Maybe they do it after, when they finish the sport. And that's what I was facing when I was meeting all these famous or semi-famous people, is that everyone was trying to be the man. Everyone was trying to do their best at having the spotlight on them. But I found that when you want healing, or you want to break an addiction, or you want to connect with someone on a deeper level, you actually need to talk about things. And we have to identify what types of things we need to change, and whom can help change those things, whom can help press on the nerve. It's like when you get a really good massage, to see if, again, it can be done better. So we have to remove the pride in our lives. We have to dismantle any of the whispers from the enemy. We have to also look for those hidden addictions. So I think one of the things that helped me a lot was when I was on this journey of my weight loss and dealing with my shopping addiction and gambling and just abuses of different types of substances. I was looking for why I was doing it. And as I came out to the other side, I realized that there were other hidden addictions that I was struggling with. And a lot of them ended up becoming the X-rated content because I had so much hurt with women and I needed to really connect with someone else who had that kind of hurt and who had overcome it. And I remember one of the pastors who really helped me in my formative years, and later on had 4 kids, and who was in a good loving relationship with his wife. He was always open and willing to talk and met me where I was and wasn't there to beat me down, but to give me those wise words when I needed them. And so what's great about that is that I was able to find the source matter material much faster. And then when you find that good counsel about from the specific things that you need change in, the good counsel allows you to make good choices faster. And if that's the case, and you're helped faster because you're able to walk on that fine line without falling as much, you're in a much better situation. Okay, so if there's any questions or comments or thoughts, please let me know. Appreciate them. But yes, if not, then I will continue on to the quotes of the night. It is said that a wise person learns from his mistakes. A wiser one learns from others' mistakes. But the wisest person of all learns from others' successes. And that is from John C. Maxwell. I think this is a beautiful quote because it identifies that there is wisdom straight up in learning from your own personal mistakes. And I think that's what we've been talking about the past few weeks. And a wiser person learns from other people's mistakes. And you can get that from anywhere. But the wisest of all is to learn about someone who's going to share their successes. And in reality, there are very few people who will share successes with you because a lot of people are very self-centered and you have to be very wary of the fruit that they have. What are they doing? Why are they doing it? The motive of the heart is massive. The next quote is, mentors have a way of seeing more of our faults than we would like. It's the only way we grow. And that's from our famous friend, George Lucas, who I would have loved to work with when I was wanting to do film. Love Star Wars, a lot of love what he did with audio with THX, and just a lot of the stories that Mr. Lucas told. And I think he was speaking from experience, and maybe even some, you can almost hear Yoda saying this, that you need someone in your life who's going to point out your faults. And it's an amazing statement because it is true. That is really one of the only ways that we can grow. All right, so as we're getting closer to landing the plane, now that we've taken taking some time to advise, we can take advice from people from time to time. Sorry, I'm really tired tonight. My apologies, everybody. Now, we can take advice from time to time from people who are different than us, who have different belief systems, religions, thought processes. It's said that if you can't learn from just about everyone something, you're either on your deathbed or you're one of the most egomaniacal people who's ever walked the face of the planet. Even some of the worst people who've ever walked this planet, I'm sure if I had a chance to sit down with them, I'm sure I could learn something about even the art of conversation or the way that they, ran or had certain operations. There's, the human experience and is so vast, and there's so many divergences that cause people to go down a really bad road or a really good road. I would just love to have conversations with just about anybody as long as, it ended well for me. Of course, if you do take on someone as a full-on mentor, I would really suggest that they are Christian or they are of the same, belief system and thought process. But again, we don't want to throw the baby away with the bathwater. If someone has something wonderful or good for you to listen to or understand, you should, try to have an open ear. And I think that's the beauty of having conversations and being out in the world. And like I've said before, I've worked over the past 26 years, I've worked 15 companies, 35 different positions. And I've worked sometimes 100 hours a week, working 4 jobs, 7 days a week. And it's been brutal. But as I've gone through those experiences, and I've heard from so many unique individuals, I've met people who seemed like they were barely surviving, who uh, they went home and jumped in their Ferrari, and they had a nice mansion because they were just working somewhere very chill, just because they loved work. And I've met people who were fronting and were on the brink of bankruptcy, and they were driving that same type Ferrari, but they hadn't made much money and they were a big illusion their entire lives. So we want someone in general who's going to be there for the long haul. And we need to make sure that that person, from a Christian perspective, loves the Lord or is really in tune with other people and really cares about other people. There's so many, like I said earlier, there's so many people who want to be a mentor or guru or the top of the line, but are they willing to serve other people and be there in the trenches with them and spend those hours that no one else wants? Hey, Christina Downs, thank you so much for that. 100%. Appreciate it. And then as we get to that next level of understanding, we also have to realize that that mentor or that person in our lives may actually even tell us to uproot some of the things that we thought were already well planted, well substantiated, like getting the water, like trees with really good roots. If you look at a vineyard, from what I understand, I'm not a drinking man, but some of the best iced wine in the Niagara region or some of the best wines in Italy, the hills are very steep. And so the trees still will have to stand maybe like essentially very much, I think it's perpendicular here, and they will stand straight. But the reason why, even on a massive like incline, they stand straight is because the roots curve deep and run super deep into the soil, and they're getting nutrients from all over the place instead of a normal tree standing on flat land where the roots wouldn't go too deep. And that creates the flavor, the taste in the wine, the nutrients. And so sometimes it may feel like you're pleasantly planted somewhere and you're on the right track, but a good mentor, a good person in your life who really cares about you will try to unearth that area of your life, even if things seem very settled. So, you want to know that they have the right hearts, like we keep on talking about, and to find out if that person is worth it. And if so, then prepare to dig deep because, they are there for you. Now, some of the things over the years, especially with 2 or 3 of my mentors, I would have to wrestle with. And because I was struggling in a certain area that they were pointing out, and, in the idea of seeking correction, I would really wrestle with it. And some of the comments that I remember saying clear as day was, how dare you say that? Or you'd look at their situation and be like, it's so easy for you to say that to me when you're living a life of luxury or you've already made it. Or look at the faults that these people have. Like you tell me about like how I'm supposed to make different changes in my life, but yet I see sometimes how, you treat, someone in their ministry or whatever it might be. And the list goes on and on and on and on because our pride, our immaturity, our flesh is just like aching for us to go to war with anyone who really wants to help us and correct us. But if we want to mature, then we have to be willing to accept those things and know that the person has faults as well. And if you want to beat that addiction and you do trust that person with your life, all of those statements that I had made that I just told you about, I pretty much repented of them as time has gone on. Not just because they were wrong for me to say, but they were also super judgmental. And I didn't even know most of the time their full story or where that sin or that problem was in their life that I thought, I had identified. Babu, I put your stream on at the McDonald's. Everyone is watching you. Oh, hey, everyone at McDonald's, what's going on? So, when we look at wanting to beat addiction, which we're all struggling with, we really need that person, that next person up in life who is willing to stand alongside you and usually has gone before you. Again, if you pick, it's just a simple, a simple analogy, but if you pick someone to play European football and you're playing basketball, there's going to be some similarities with the footwork, with maybe the cardio training, with some of the, I guess, the day-to-day dietary or even the weight training. But you're going to be doing completely different fundamentals. One this person is dribbling, they're using their hands. One, instead of the soccer, the football, European football, they're using their feet. So you can meet someone who's fantastic in so many ways in your life, but if they don't know how to beat that addiction or take you to the next echelon, as wonderful as they may seem, they're not going to be for you. So it's just something to think about as you again look for those types of people in your life, that mentor, that person who you may be able to help, or who may be able to help you, and hopefully, inevitably, you'll be able to help them. That you can lean on each other's life experiences and really pick their brain, because you want to choose somebody who has walked the path, who is walking the walk and talking the talk. Because too often, when you choose a mentor or someone to look up to and they haven't done that, you're going to start having too many divergence, and again, it could cause you to relapse. So at the end of the day, I think we really have to be very careful with our heart, and that's why, as much as getting correction is a great thing, we have to also understand where the correction is coming from. Because getting good counsel will be done in love, but the thing is, it's not going to be lovey-dovey. So as I am landing the plane now, as I can see myself going from 20,000 feet down to 10,000 feet, what does the Bible say about this? Well, in Proverbs 27, verse 6, it says, "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy gives out multiple kisses." So a friend and mentor will give you the tough stuff, and that's okay. While your enemy is going to be saying wonderful things about you and trying to make you feel all warm and gushy inside, but usually it's because they want to use you. But we also must remember that when that good friend or mentor is saying something to you, I've seen way too many times, especially in a Christian context, where a person is not doing it out of a place of love. They're doing it out of a place of being better than you. You want it done in love, whether it's being done gently or firmly. Okay? Whether it's being gently or firmly, you want it done with a lot of love and care and attention. All right, so Proverbs chapter 1, verse 5. "Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance." Okay? So this is just a straight up verse that allows us to ponder this thought process that wise people listen. If you're not a good listener, you are not going to gain wisdom. It is just, it's impossible. You have to be at the feet and around people who are going to lead you and guide you in a godly manner. And that will allow you to also, if you have a gift of wisdom, to share that gift as well. So 1 Thessalonians 5:12, "Now we ask you, brothers and sisters, to acknowledge those who work hard among you, who care for you in the Lord and admonish you." So not everything is going to be from Proverbs, even though Proverbs has tons of stuff about wise counsel. And we also just need to remember that we need to have those people in our lives who are willing to give us that real talk, that admonishing. The word admonishing essentially is to give warning or to be strict. And so we need to have those people in our lives, or we're just not going to grow. James chapter 1, verse 5, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives it generally to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you." Now, of course, if you can't find anyone that's going to help you along this pathway, or you're at the beginning of your journey, or you don't even know who you can trust right now because you're in a toxic situation. Maybe your family's gambled your money away. You've been kicked out of your home. You're homeless. You're on drugs. You're drinking. You're stuck in this overweight eating porn loop that I used to be stuck in. Well, the good thing is that we can always go to the Father first. And we should always be going. In the past, a bunch of the past streams we've talked about, it has been a God-centered fact. This is more of a touching reality, dealing with people, connecting with people, seeing their fruits. And eventually I am going to do a stream where I help identify the types of fruits and things you need to see in a mentor. But this is just kind of an overview to kind of get your mind thinking about that. We need to be in God's word. We need to pray and listen to the Spirit, because they will never let you down. No matter how wonderful a mentor is, no matter how wonderful my mentor was, or how many people I've mentored and coached over the years, we'll all fail each other at some point. But God will not fail us and will give us perfect fellowship and eventually send us those mentors that we need. So essentially, that's more or less the chat for this evening. Sorry for those of you for the audio that it cut out or wasn't working. I will definitely edit that out if you need to come back and watch the video in the future. But if you are looking for a specific type of mentor in your life, and you would like to chat about it tonight, I am here. I'm willing to talk about anything that we have been talking about tonight more in depthly, or if you have any problems or questions, please let me know. I would love to chat with anyone tonight. I got some time on a nice Friday night. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm amped up because finding the right mentor, finding the right people in life to help walk you in the right direction is truly one of the most impactful positions and situations that have been in my life, that has helped me to grow drastically in my manhood, in my relationships, in my work, in my with my wife, with my children, even with my extended family, and how I treat people in certain situations. So if you do 100 push-ups, I'll donate. 100 push-ups straight, I can't do anymore, but I can do that over a certain period of time, or I can make a video for you later. How's that? And you know what? Even if you don't donate, pumping out 100 push-ups is always a good thing for me. So I'll do that maybe at another time. If you're persistent, Babu, appreciate the comments and popping me up on the McD's in the UK. That's cool beans, brother. That's cool beans. I'm too tired to bust out a British accent right now. I don't want to make a fool out of myself too much. All right. So if there are any comments or thoughts or questions, I would love to chat. But if not, I totally get it. That's just how sometimes the Spirit leads, and I can always cap in prayer time and just let people continue to trickle in and trickle out as need be. All right, just looking at the chat again here. Okay, so I'll go into just prayer time here and close off. And again, if anyone wants to jump on, that's cool. Do I think the Jays can pull it off? Thank you, man. I love talking sports. This is great. Okay, so we can switch gears completely. Okay, we're not talking about seeking correction right now. Maybe the Jays bullpen will be needing correction. Maybe they need to get Mariano Rivera in there. Okay, so I got to take me a second to switch the gears here. It depends on who they face, whether it's the Mariners or the Tigers. We've had fairly good success against both this year. I can pull up the records actually to make sure that I fully know what I'm talking about. Tigers versus Blue Jays record in 2025. So 4-3. So you got a good record there, like obviously a winning record. And then let's see the Mariners. Mariners versus the Jays in 2025. The Jays went 4-2. So very similar 6-game and 7-game series respectively. Now, the big shift is that Detroit was probably the hottest team in baseball for 2 months. And then they completely fell off in September and allowed Cleveland to catch them up. Now, they obviously beat Cleveland because they caught some of that fire. They're struggling a little bit against the Mariners, but they're a scary team if they catch on fire again, and you don't want to face their pitching, right? They have Skeens, I think, who's the best pitcher in the game by far. I think Trey Yusavage could be the next major, guy to change, the way the game is even seen, just because of the trajectory of how he pitches. He pitches from the more or less over the top of his head, and he brings down such an arch on the ball that you go from like a release point that maybe is like 8.5 feet tall and down from the mound. So that gives you another 6 to 8 inches of dip. And so he's high in the strike zone, low in the strike zone. And so that really confused the Yankees, who had the #1 hitting average in the league, and he shut them down. So I think we have pretty good pitching. I think we have great pitching. I think we have three decent starters in Gausman, Savage, and Bieber. But I'm a little bit concerned about pulling off those bullpen games. And I don't know when they're going to insert Matt Scherzer, if they are in general, because he is the warrior for a reason. They pulled him here for that, the locker room presence, but also just for his baseball know-how. And there's going to be an inning where you need him, and he's going to come out and give you his best stuff. I think. So I would rather face the Mariners, just because I feel like we have an overall better team to beat them. They don't have, in my opinion, as great pitching. And I think we can outbat them, especially since Vlad Guerrero, and these are obviously three pretty well-known hitters, from what Poppy said, Big Poppy, and from what Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter said, they have never seen anyone hit the way Guerrero has been hitting. And if you just looked at some of the footage of the way his foot is tapping up and down and his swing, he doesn't need much leg strength to get the ball out of the park. He actually just needs the twitch foot, which means that his actual release to smack that ball is not based off of a leg charge where he shows his tell, or if he's going to go for it, if he's not going to go for it. He can gauge with that last millisecond and the release point off of his foot tapping up and down. So it'll be interesting to see if he continues that, and we get Bo Bichette back. So if everyone hits the way they're hitting and the pitching does really well, they should in at least 3 games to begin each series, then I'd say we have a great chance at winning the World Series this year. However, the bullpen is the biggest question mark, and we have seen the Jays' bats go quiet. But with the resurgence of Bo Bichette and everyone hitting like this, basically 1 through 9 is killing it right now. So if you had Bo, it's 1 through 10. And if they hang off the backs of Guerrero and just allow him to be that cleanup hitter or the third spot, I don't think he'll DH. He'll probably play first a lot, but I'm really excited to see what we'll do here. And Savage is just something different. So yeah, I appreciate the question. But we'll see. I think the scary team is still the Dodgers. They have the best overall team, and their team is just way over the payroll as well. And we don't know if this is the case, but we're probably watching the greatest baseball player of all time play, and he's only in year, 5 or 6 of his MLB career. Let me just see here. Shohei Ohtani has played how many years in the MLB? So I think he is in, I lied. He's played 8 years in the MLB, but he's putting up numbers that are just over the top. Someone at Mickey D's asked why we're watching this. I am so sorry, at Mickey D's. I am not talking about Liverpool, or I'm not talking about Manchester United. I actually was a Manchester City fan from about 25 years ago, because in Canada, everyone was a Manchester United fan. Hopefully I'm not offending anybody, but I always loved to go for the underdog. And so for the longest time, I couldn't stand, Ronaldo. I couldn't stand, Beckham. I couldn't stand Rooney, and all these like Class A characters who were crushing it and just winning, the Premier League over and over. So I just said, forget this. I'm a Man U fan, a Man City fan. I'm going to stick to it. And so I've been a Man City fan, and I have become the evil that I was so angry at. I become the money-grubbing monsters that just keep on winning championships and bring, the best players and the best teams together. So sorry. But anyway, if please change it, Babu. I don't want the customers to start rioting. I appreciate you putting me in a public square. That was really cool, but I can't talk too much soccer. I do know that Messi is better than Ronaldo, and if anyone wants to fight me, if you're in the UK, you can get on a plane. We can come down. There's a place called Tim Hortons in Canada. We can sit down, have a coffee, and I can tell you why Messi is so much better than Ronaldo. However, I think Ronaldo is probably the best forward of all time. And I really just like the way that Messi elevates everyone else around him. And he also has a World Cup, and he could win another one. It's so plausible that he could win another one, and he'll probably win another 15. Uh, I guess what is it? MLS Cups in Toronto, so or in Miami. So yeah, go Messi, eat it. And then we have to bring in the idea that Pele was playing with like a 40-pound medicine ball. So if Pele was playing with the technology now, he'd probably be destroying people. So Pele's definitely up there. And I wonder how Maradona would have done as well if he did get caught up with so much drinking and drugs. But definitely Messi over Ronaldo. As much as, I also like I Show Speed. He's a cool dude. And he loves Ronaldo. A lot of people love Ronaldo, and I understand why. But I do not understand European football the way it's so well regarded around the world. Anyway, that was a sports divergence. I love talking sports, love talking food, love talking fitness. I used to be over, I don't know how many stone that would be, but in kgs, I used to be over 140 kgs, went down to 85 kgs. I'm around 90 kgs now. I told them you're right next to the Prime Minister of Canada. They said big ups. What? Yeah, my wife's from Ottawa. Yes, the Prime Minister is an interesting dude. I don't always agree with what the last two prime ministers have been doing, but and the same thing again in the UK, the leadership is always questionable, especially as people gain more and more money. Actually, I like the political system in Singapore. You don't actually get paid, from what I understand, in politics, or at least that's what my mentor had alluded to. It was years before. Let me fact check myself. Singapore. Politician's salary. Okay, maybe not. Okay, so the salary is a base mark minimum salary, which comes to highest minister. Oh no, I lied. Okay, so I think it was as mayor. I think as mayor he didn't get one. Well, anyway, I know that my mentor did not get paid. That was the one thing. So, okay, they do get paid as mayors now. So I retract that back. I guess inevitably every position needs to have pay at some point. But yes, I think when you're able to have people serve in smaller, tight-knit communities, it's way better for government in general. But obviously it is what it is. Thanks again, Babu, for putting me in the McD's in the UK. That's cool beans. All right, so if there's no one else that wants to share anything or talk about anything tonight, I appreciate you spending the time with me about are you seeking correction when you want to beat addiction, when you want to just grow more as a man and get stronger in your day-to-day walk with the Lord. So, all right, Barkman. Fun question. Let's say you have friends over at your place and you need more space. Can you tuck the TV in behind the wall? Fun question. Let's say you have friends over at your place and you need more space. Can you tuck the TV behind into the wall? Actually, well, it's into the wall right now. I guess I can show you, hopefully. So it's actually a really cool situation here. I loved it because, as you can see, it just turns and goes like that. So I can turn it this way, turn it up, angle it out this way, turn it back up, and retracts it back into the wall, which is cool beans. So it's just one of those, all-encompassing, really interesting, well put together piece of design. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I need to have this. It's so good for gaming, for the kids to keep it out of the way, and just like to have that extra TV space. I have about the office the other day. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Bark. I didn't get it. Yeah, that's true. Yes, the office. I can tuck it and pull it back, no problem. No, Babu. I actually do. I run Xbox. I've been an Xbox guy for a long time. Honestly, I was a PS. So I had a PS1 when I was growing up, and I had a PS2, and then Xbox just came out of nowhere, and so a couple of my friends, they all got Xboxes, and then I waited, and then within a year's time, 2 years time, I think it was. I had been donated like 50 games, so I was like, all right. And then I got the Xbox. I think it was the 360, and then I moved to the Xbox One, and now I have the Xbox S. So yeah, I'm definitely an Xbox guy. All right. Appreciate everyone here tonight in the comments and the chats. Again, if it ever is a night just to talk and be casual, I'm all about just streaming to the masses and having great conversation. So if you have a question or a comment about things, like most things I love chatting about, I'm just that kind of guy. So, but anyway, unless there's something else anyone would like to chat about, I can wrap up for tonight. I appreciate the time and the candor and just everything that we've chatted about tonight. I appreciate it greatly. All right, so unless someone has any prayer requests, what am I doing for Thanksgiving? Well, I'm actually in a very interesting situation right now. I'm putting up boundaries with a lot of people in my life, and so we're just having a really quiet Thanksgiving. And my wife wants to cook, a smaller, more traditional meal. We got two little ones, so you can't go all out because they don't like a lot of the flavors that as you get older, you like, even like gravy and stuff like that. They're not really into. So it's been nice to look forward to, because I think I'm pulling like 65-hour weeks. So to have 3 days off, actually 2 days off because I'll be working on Sunday, but to have 2 days off to just like reflect and hang out and relax will be very, very wonderful. And I think I'll actually just be doing a open mic stream on Monday, just about being thankful and just trying to take myself to a good, to keep myself in a good headspace. Take the family to see the salmon run in Burlington. I would absolutely love that, but wifey is not feeling so hot, and it's probably just a stay-at-home weekend. It is, again, I think it's like, from what I taught you, Barkman, it's like, now I think we've talked about this for 5 years, and I'm still like aching to see the salmon run, as I love fishing. I love the outdoors, the great outdoors. Like, would love to go hunting in the future one day, but I've at least done fishing and being blessed to have my fair share of game over the years. So very thankful for that. But I'd love to see the salmon run at some point. Where do I see myself in 5 to 10 years career-wise? What steps are you taking to achieve them? You should bring Barkman on the stream. I should, Barkman. You should come on the stream. You hear that? Babu wants you on the stream. All right. So where do I see myself in 5 to 10 years career-wise? Well, I'm actually at a position and situation in my life right now where I do feel that this is coming on strong. It's been about 10 to 15 years of people saying that I should move into life coaching. And so, I think, as I said earlier in the stream, I'm going to be releasing a book in 2026. And I want to continue to do these types of streams for a smaller audience, for people who are specifically looking for how to be built up as a man, and from a Christian perspective for the most part. And on the flip side, there's a lot of ministry positions and things opening up my way after, again, 25 years of working, 20 years of serving and really leading people and guiding people. I think I'll probably be moving into some form of ministry. I don't know what that looks like. Maybe it's working at a men's, drop-in center, or it could be kind of a pastoral type job. Who knows, right? There's just so many possibilities there. So I kind of feel like I've been working towards these two things for my whole life in many ways, and I didn't really know I was doing it. So if I do have to go back to school, I'm very much open to it, as I do feel that it's something that's a calling for me, like the social work in general, I guess you could call that. But with the overtone of it being Christian work and wanting people to come to know who God is and to have a loving relationship with the Trinity. So I would say, if it's 5 years from now and everything was going the way I'd love to be doing it, I'd say I'm I would be streaming and making videos, and I would have maybe 3 or 4 online courses that would be very helpful in the different stages of manhood. So for me, I really feel that this breaking of addictions is probably going to be one of the longest ones that I deal with. And that's why I've written the book on the 30 steps to breaking addictions from the inside out. And so even just talking about this, we're in stage 5 of, or sorry, stage 4 of being corrected. So there's 26 more stages to overcoming these types of addictions. And we all know that there's many people in our lives who are struggling with addiction. So, this is probably the next 6 months to a year of releasing the book, conversating, having these streams, hopefully gaining more and more attention and drawing more attention towards addiction. And hopefully there's more people, the algorithm will pick that up. And then once dealing with addiction, then I would like to move into how to prepare yourself to be in a relationship. So there are many, many things that I think men have to work on to put themselves in the right place for a relationship, and then how to actually seek out the right woman, which is a bit of a shorter one, but could lead to a lot of personal conversations. And I could see myself actually doing that on a professional level, life coaching one-on-one, helping people to dissect the kind of career they need to look for, the kind of person they need to be with, and just I want to be a customer servant agent, a CSA. I want to be able to serve people to help them to get to the right help that they need as fast as possible. And that can be done through, again, books, semi-private classes, watching these streams, just connecting on the different wavelengths and the different speeds that people would like to connect on. And then inevitably, how to get married, how to deal with your kids, how to do work life and family balance, and so on and so forth. So those are the kinds of quackamangoose. Quackamagoose. Good to see you, Mikey. So that would be the long-term projection, I would say. It's really helping men across the board to grow in the different areas of their lives. And for me also to have 5, 10, 15 years of experience to go into it and to speak from a anecdotal, statistical, but more so spiritual realm, and be able to point men to Christ in many ways. Just going to take a drink. Babu again, water bottle. Thank you. There you go. Yes, curry duck is where it's at. Okay, I gotta actually hear you say that, Mike. I haven't actually heard you say that before. That'd be cool. Send me a WhatsApp voice message. That would be cool. I don't think I've heard you say that. And you know what? It's either a good or bad thing to have an obsession with geese. My sister actually was attacked by a goose as the geese were trying to attack my mom. And she got a huge branch and had to beat it off. But man, Canadian geese are super vicious, especially around mating season in the spring. Word to the wise, if you're outdoors and you're near, little baby goslings, I guess you'd call them. Not Ryan Gosling, but goslings in general, then be very careful. What are your top 3 foods to enjoy? Man, Babu, I love you. For me, it's definitely sushi's number 1. Now, sushi, because there's so many things that are involved with now the umbrella of sushi. I love sashimi and maki rolls. I just love anything to do with the art of Japan and making food. It's just so beautiful. It's like such an amazing art. So sushi in general, but crunchy, spicy salmon maki roll is just amazing. Number 2 would probably be just a wonderful steak. A steak with some delicious roasted potatoes and like a nice, broccoli with like a delicious sea salt, and just super super lovely, super satiating, super buttery. And then I'm just thinking if I had like my last 3 meals before I was to perish, So it'd be sushi, like a beautiful steak. Um, Maybe an authentic pizza, like a real thin crust Italiano pizza, like a margarita pizza. Just phenomenal. What about yourselves? Sushi with ice cream cheese hits different. Oh, sorry, with the cream cheese hits different. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They call them in North America, they call it the Philadelphia roll, the Philadelphia sushi roll, the salmon and cream cheese. And I don't know if anyone else has had it before, but you can use a cracker, rice cracker, any type of cracker pretty much. Get a nice, very untainted, unflavored cream cheese and put a nice slab of smoked salmon on it. Man, that's game changer. That's a life changer. I wish I was rich. If I was rich, I'd be a lot leaner than I am right now. Like I feel like I'm at a good place with my strength and my overall power. I wish I could lean down a bit more, but just the nature of my job and working 60 hours a week and stuff like that, I haven't been as lean as I have been in the past. I've gained about 5 kgs over the past 3 or 4 years. And being a dad in general, that stuff changes you. But yeah, there's some foods that are just so satiating that are so good. But as the world gets super expensive, I'm just thankful that I can, eat my simple regimen today, which if you don't know, I can just share with you quickly. It's in the morning, well, not in the morning, for breakfast, for lunch, because I do a lot of intermittent fasting, not every day, but a lot of days, is I have plain yogurt, maybe with a sweetener, and then I'll have coffee with a protein bar. Try to get like 50, 60 grams of protein to start the morning. And then shortly thereafter, if I'm still hungry, I say to myself, I'm going to always eat the good stuff first. So even if it's heavy, I'm going to eat the good stuff first before I start reaching for snacks. So that's usually when I usually have a rotisserie chicken and I rip it up. I do my best version of Mortal Kombat. I just rip that chicken up and I just have it with some steamed veggies. But I have the whole chicken, so I rip up the dark and the white meat, and I put a lot of the skin in. Add maybe some rice sometimes and peas, then some like nice seasoning and flavoring. Mix that up and allow the skin to sit at the top for the juices to go down. And I take the juice from the roasted chicken and make sure that it's in there as well. And I basically eat a chicken every 3 or 4 days, or five, sorry, 4 or 5 days on my own. Sometimes 6 days. And then later, I'm usually have like a can of something, can of sardines, can of turkey, can of chicken, can of tuna, can of salmon, and I'll have that usually with some rice crackers and some low fat, either mayo or whipped cream or whipped mayo or whatever it's called. A lot of time it's mustard though, because mustard is really tangy and 0 calories. And then I usually have a coffee on the way home. I do like milk lattes because I want that extra protein. My goal is to get around 200 grams of protein a day. I'll have dinner with the fam, and then like I've talked about my famous protein shake at the end of the night, like some fruits at the bottom, basically 12, 13 pieces of ice with like 30 to 50 grams of protein, depending on what I need for the day, what I have or hadn't had for the day, and blend that up, and it's icy, it's delicious. It almost tastes like ice cream if you blend it long enough in the NutriBullet. And then if I'm really hungry still, I'll have a bunch of boiled eggs. Sometimes I'll have a fried egg with some spinach, but that's more or less what I eat in a day. It's pretty simple, pretty chill. It keeps me very strong for the most part, keeps me energetic, and yeah, good times overall. I feel like one day I'm gonna see a ghost or killer clown behind the glass door waving at me. Yes, I usually have to punch him in the neck. That's what I do to make sure he stays off the balcony. Yeah, I definitely would love to get more of I guess relaxed or more of a professional looking background at some point in the future. But I do feel that you're getting me. You know, these are my girls. This is how they roll. This is essentially mommy and daughter here. But yeah, definitely I could see at some point some form of someone on the balcony peeking in. Actually, when I used to live in one of my older places, we were close enough to the neighbors, like close to us, that you pretty much could see in all the time if you really wanted to. So we had our blinds drawn, and just always making sure to keep everyone at arm's length. It's so nice where I live now, where it's just covered by trees, and if the trees weren't there, it's like 4 or 5 kilometers before the next building for people to see. So yeah, overall super blessed. All right. So like as I said before, I could talk about anything all night, but if no one else has any questions or thoughts or comments, I can let everyone go and enjoy their Friday evening. I am probably going to do the dishes, listen to some sports, maybe some music. Yeah, I just want to encourage you all once again to seek getting correction in your life, because it is one of the most profound ways to change everything about you for the better, if you have the right people who are walking beside you and are prodding you in love, in firmness and in truth. Because when you get that, it just perpetuates you. It fire starts you into the future. And yeah, just to close off, Babu, what I was saying earlier, if you had asked the 5 to 10 years, I would love to be, running mini conferences with men, actually, or going from church to church and talking to men and helping men out with different questions. And one of my goals actually would be to one day have a cruise, maybe a group of people who have connected with for years, and who really wanted to dig deep in a certain area in life. Maybe it's about purity, maybe it's about manhood, or maybe it's about how to deal with a particular climate that we're dealing with in the world, whether it's political or educational or whatever it might be. And it'd be wonderful to actually set up with 50 or 100 guys, set up on a cruise ship and spend a week or two just going into the Word and just learning about one another and having that more personal discipleship time. I don't intend this channel, and I don't think I have the ability or the just overall character to maybe have hundreds of thousands of people watching, but I do feel like there is a niche of men who really want to grow in their faith and grow at each layer and level of their life and live meekly. And again, the definition of being meek is strength and power under control. Strength and power under control, which I think men don't usually want to do. They don't want to control themselves. They want to either not touch strength and power at all, or they want to have it and own it. And it is when you have that wonderful balance, which I think I'm attaining to as I get older, to have that strength and power under control, the meekness really carries you into a room, not because of who you are, but because of who God has made you to be. So I would say, yeah, that's kind of where I want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. We'll see what kind of ministry, if I'm doing this, if the books are selling, if I'm doing semi-private classes, so on and so forth. What's the most important things a guy should do in his 20s? Wow, that's great. I would say experiment is probably the best, like, and obviously not with drugs and stuff. What I'm saying is with your work, because in your 20s, unless you're married or unless you've met the love of your life, essentially, you have this amazing time frame, because a lot of the people in your life are not mature. The women are probably not going to be mature in your life in a lot of ways, like maybe towards the end of your 20s. But I would say if I could go back in my 20s, that would be one of the things that I would say to myself, is to kind of test those jobs, figure out even more jobs. Don't be scared. Go out and I in many ways, if I wasn't crippled by the situations I was in, I would have definitely traveled the world a lot more, got maybe a cruise ship job, or worked on for an for an airlines, or just do something to explore. And everyone's personality is very different, but I would explore work and really see what I'd like to do, or give myself a few options for what I'd like to do the rest of my life. And again, it's a broad question, so I'll try to answer as broadly as possible. I would have spent more time understanding my nutrition for my body. I wish I had known that, and I wish I could have been able to afford more protein when I was younger, because I was working out, chaotically, and I wasn't gaining the muscle mass I should have, because I was doing all the things that were just not smart, and I didn't have the knowledge or the wisdom. Stuff like YouTube wasn't started in my 20s. Sorry, YouTube maybe had started by the end of my 20s. Yeah, no, that's a lie. By the end of my 20s, YouTube was going, but even then, you had such meatheads that were giving you information and advice that, yeah, they were saying eat protein and so on and so forth, but the sources of protein and how much protein they were having, would have been like $200 to $300 a month, a week for you to eat and all that jazz, right? So I wish I had known nutrition. So I'd say from a non-spiritual perspective, straight up go and work as many types of jobs as you can or get small education, do those things that you kind of will allow you to lean into something in the long term, and think about your nutrition, think about your health, work out while you can, do all those things when you're single that you can't do when you have less time. When it comes to the spiritual side of things, again, get mentors, get a person or people who can correct you, who can stand alongside you, who can be there with you, who can point out your faults and allow you to go on a fast track towards better things in your life. I would say serve. Oh man, if you get an opportunity to serve in a soup kitchen or to find out where you can actually serve the gifts and abilities that you've been given, that is just remarkable. Remarkable to teach yourself humility, to be empowered, to be strengthened in in your fortitude, to really understand thankfulness. Because man, there's so many men who don't really understand that even if their life is chaotic, they should be super thankful for what they have. And then like as you serve more, you end up flexing that spiritual muscle, and you find out that there's other things you want to serve in. And what's really nice is that there's a high chance that you're going to meet lovely ladies as you serve, because when you are sitting at home behind a keyboard typing away, or at the gym or clubbing or whatever it might be, or whatever you're doing as a young guy, going to the bars or whatever it is, you're not around the women who are lovers and caregivers and who want to have the same faith and aspects and thought processes and things that you would like as well. And I wish I had done that in my 20s too. I wish I had gotten the courage to serve in those harder places, or serve in the kitchen at your church or wherever it might be, or at a soup kitchen down the street, or with the homeless community, because you're going to gain that empathy, you're going to gain stuff for your resume. People are going to always want to know, like, there's like almost nobody I've ever met, especially in a job interview, when you tell someone that you've interviewed with, the unhoused, or sorry, when you are serving the unhoused, and or you're working with youth, or you're being a visitation officer and you're spending time with the elderly. People love to hear those types of stories, and they want they want to hear someone doing something that they would most likely want to do in their lives. So from a non-spiritual perspective, from a physical perspective, again, I would say go to as many types of work as you can, educations as you can, to find the long-term jobs you may want to do, like even at a baseline level, to see if you want to be like an exec in that type of a company or run your own type of company. Your nutrition, go and explore more, travel a bit more when you can. On the spiritual side of things, I think, definitely find a mentor, connect with people who you can learn from. And I would definitely say try your best to serve a lot more in your 20s. Now, there are times where you can lead. Hey, Odelay, I just went live today. Hey, congratulations. That's amazing. You got to send me is it your channel? It's the same channel. I can just kind of jump on your channel here. So I will do that later and check out some of your work here. I'm glad the guy is not here that's spamming you guys the last time. Yeah, that was a tough night, Olay. But you know what? Your patience and everyone else's patience was very much a blessing. You never know who you're helping. Okay, I'm pulling you up, Odelay, here. When I get my system better, I am going to make sure that I rep your channel more. Loving your work, Odelay. Cool beans. I will definitely check out and watch a bunch of your stuff tonight. But yeah, Odelay, at the end of the day, people need to express themselves, and I think our friend Eddie may have a developmental situation. So, sometimes streaming in situations like this, or someone sending those stickers, might be their only friend or they're only the people they connect with. So thank you for you and Babu and the other guys who've been on this chat who were very patient with him. And I had to be a little firm with him if you look back in the streams a couple weeks ago. But I hope, Eddie's doing all right. He just seems that he just needs a little bit more attention. So I appreciate the patience. And of course, you know what? When someone is not lagging the chat and spamming the chat, it is just nicer and it can be a little bit more chill. So yes, and Odele, if you guys can, just whoever's watching or on the actual recording later, check out the live stream, check out Odele, and yeah, let's do it. Let's see everything else that's going on in Odele's life here. There's cool beans. I'm loving the Lego. I've always been a big Lego fan. Thanks. Oh snap! Yeah, no, you did fine. You were chill about it all. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I try to be. As I was answering Babu, the different things that guys should do in their 20s. In serving, I did serve and work with people with mental developmental issues, and they're some of the sweetest, most wonderful people you'll ever meet. Actually, he's older now because I think I was doing this about 16, 17 years ago. But there was this young man. I shouldn't say young man now because when he was 9, he's probably 15. He's probably 25 now. His name's, I shouldn't say his name, or maybe I did. If I did, I'm sorry. But he was such a lovely young man. He was blind. I think he was blind from a car accident. And he actually used like sound sonar. So he would tap his stick or he'd stomp on the ground and he'd be able to hear how many door frames there were in a hallway. It was remarkable. We would go to different places around the city, and if it was quiet enough and he stomped down and made enough noise, he would know where the door frames were and how many steps they were away. And I spent time with him, and he was always so thankful. And he's 9 years old, and he brought me to tears a few times. So yeah, I've been blessed to sympathize with a lot of the people I've met, and then gain empathy from others, because this young man just blew my socks off. But yeah, I would say that on the spiritual. On the mental side of things, of course, like I said earlier, education, Babu, you want to look into education. But we live in a world now where hard education, unless you want to be a doctor or a physicist, or you want to move into a specific field where a big education is needed, a lot of the time, the education that is needed is not as difficult as it used to be. People do trust Google. People do trust like Google Classroom in school. And there's going to be a huge room now for entrepreneurship, whether it's like doing stuff here again on why I live stream so much and why I'm going to be doing it over the next X amount of time as I can, is because I'm getting my content out there, and they say that it takes about 7 or 8 hours for people to start trusting you. And I was making these videos that were taking 50 to 100 hours to do the research for, and I said I'm going to just try streaming, and I definitely, especially when I get questions after, during or after the topic, I love it very, very much. So yeah, it's quite an amazing turn of events. So try different artistic outlets and mental outlets as well. See if there's different courses. But again, Babu, if there's a specific thing that you feel like you could do, and you need an education for it, you can't wiggle around trying to be a doctor by doing a bunch of Google courses. So get out there, do those courses, do the best you can. So those are, I'd say, with the big things with the physical, mental, and spiritual side. Relationally, start weeding out your friends. Don't push your friends away, but just start, really seeing the friends that are there for the good times and the friends that are there because they want to be there because they got your back for real. That will save you some time. I wish I had done that. There's a few friends that lingered into my 30s that they were just really acquaintances, and we had shared a few months or a few years where we had liked the same things. But as you get older, there's way less time for you to do extracurricular or more fun stuff, and it really comes down to the person's attitude. And if you like a few things in common, that's great too. But it's their attitude and how caring they are. Going back to Odele reminds me of Matt Murdock from Daredevil, Blind with a heart of gold. You nailed that. That is perfectly said. Unbelievably perfectly said. That little boy was, yeah, he was Mr. Matt Murdock, 100%. Not much of a daredevil, but who knows, right? Maybe he's he's walking a tightrope as we speak. I can't believe some of these kids that I used to coach or connect with or train. Man, that's incredible. They're in their 20s and 30s now, some of them. Yeah, it takes a lot in your 20s to weed out your friends. I'm just exiting my 20s now, and I cut someone out because he was acting really immature and manipulative. But now I got my true friends. Yeah, totally. That is fantastic. It takes a lot of courage to do that, and to know your self-worth, and to identify people who manipulate, people who are narcissistic and immature. It's very, very hard. It's not easy because whether or not they're doing it on purpose, it is like a survival mechanism to keep people around. So the fact that you were able to identify that and walk away from those people and hopefully, pray for them and hopefully they get the right help they need. But, while you're in, again, your formative years and the things that you're going through and you're becoming a man, if that person is manipulating you and hurting you, chances are you're not going to be the person that can pull them out of it. They need to seek some attention. And sometimes walking away from people is a great way for them to seek the attention that they need. I think I missed Untapped's questions. Oh, Untapped had a question? I'm sorry, Untapped. I'm looking here. Untapped. I think you missed Untapped question. Well, you know what? If you could post it again, I actually don't have on my, I can pop in, screenshot wise, I'm looking, I don't see it, Babu. I appreciate that. Yeah, Untapped, or you could type it out again. I have no idea. I'm looking, no, it's Babu, Ole, Babu, Mikey. Yeah, I don't see Untapped. Christina Downs. No, I do not. So Babu, if you could reiterate that question or just type it out again, or if Untapped, if you are here, I'd love to answer that question. I really do apologize that it's been missed, but it is not in my chat stream. I know we've had some other errors here tonight, but yeah, if you could put that in, that would be great. And yeah, Audley, just again, congratulations on doing something like that. And just now you can pray for them from afar and, hope for the best for them in their lives. And sometimes it's the best thing you can do. Sometimes they will come back and they'll come back a much better friend. They'll be much, much more thankful for everything that you've been in their life and done in their life. And that's even in my life, that's all I can hope for is that I'm making the right decision for those people in my life to, with that distance, to see the relevance and connection that we have and we need, and they need some space. They need to figure stuff out professionally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, so many ways. All right, Babu, if you can find that, that'd be great. But if not, again, I'm looking at the chat. I feel awful Untapped that if there was a question that was posted and it didn't show up on my feed here because, again, he asked. Okay, thank you, Babu. Oh, I feel dreadful that something came through. That scares me then, I guess, if other people are asking questions and the system's not picking them up. That is brutal. Did you feel negative impacts of the COVID vaccine? Oof. All right, we're going straight for it. Okay, so that is a deep question. Well, I'll just answer as honestly as I can. So I had a heart condition when I was younger, and it was never concluded how bad it was because I was at the cusp of certain sciences changing and shifting. But there's a famous hospital, Sick Kids Hospital, that I was in and out of fairly consistently when I was younger for my heart and for the heart rhythm that I had. So when the mRNA vaccine came out, and I'm going to get flagged for this now because I said the word, but when these drugs came out, I saw COVID as a flu, as an intense flu, as a terrible flu. And my thought process was that if I was unhealthy, if I had respiratory issues, if I was elderly, if I was older, that I would, tell people that it's a good idea to get the drug. I wouldn't even call it a vaccine because there's so many boosters per se, but I'm not a scientist. Actually, my wife, he kind of is, and I talked to other people, and everyone has their points of view on it, but I'm not like completely against anything. So I personally and my wife and my family didn't have any negative effects because we actually never took the vaccine, and I did it at the potential of losing my job. But by God's grace, I didn't have to proceed with that with my health conditions. They didn't recognize my health conditions, but I was also blessed to not have had that pushed on me to have. My wife, on the other hand, it was like a blessing in disguise because she was able to quit because we were having our daughter, our first daughter at the time, because she was going to be forced to take it. So I did not, but I have met some people who've had some definitely negative effects. There are a lot of numbers out there that would say that there's people who've had negative effects with the mRNA drugs, and if they call it the big V word. Again, I don't want to say it too much before the video gets flagged because I am not a scientist, I am not a doctor, I don't have any data that would say yay or nay to anything. But from anecdotal information, I haven't heard too many negative responses. I've heard that it hasn't been too great for children and young men in general. But I did tell even men within my men's group to, especially if they were older and they were not doing too well with their health or they were overweight, that they should definitely do everything they possibly can to prevent this horrible, nasty flu, this virus, to get in their body or combat it as fast and as much as possible. So I'm hoping that there isn't a pandemic anytime soon. Untapped, if you're watching this right now or you watch it later, please let me know. Oh, you know what? I wonder if he asked the question and he got flagged on my end because it's so odd that you got and I didn't get it. That is so weird. I'm actually stunned. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure why again I didn't get it, but yeah, that's kind of the overview. I never felt those impacts because I wasn't vaccinated, but I've heard of some people who have, but I've heard a lot of people who have had nothing. It's funny, we're actually talking about that today at my stretching circle that I have at work, which I've been blessed to do for 9 years now. In my company, they saw that I'm on the health and safety committee as well as my company. So I don't have a lot of sway or pull there, but I am engaged with a lot of the people there, from the CEO right down to people at my level. So yeah, very much thankful for that. If there's any other thoughts or questions that I could relate tonight, wonderful. And if not, that's okay as well. I can pull a cap on it. But yeah, just thank you all for spending the time with me tonight and watching. And I'll just give it, I'll just, I guess, do prayer time now. If anyone has any prayer requests, please let me know. And then I will just cap it off, or I'll answer any other questions that still come in. I just really appreciate all of you who are watching. And I think by God's grace, I can say this with confidence at the ground level here, as it could take 6 months or a year or a couple of years to truly get these messages and this channel off the ground, and these types of conversations, and to be able to share, I think, a lot of the wisdom that God has given me through circumstances and through mentors, and to hopefully mentor in the future as well. Hey, yeah, I asked, I don't know what happened. Untapped, what's going on, brother? Thank you, Babu, you my boy. There you go, I'm loving that. That's why I'm doing this here. You guys are connecting. Untapped, so, Odelay, Babu, Untapped, Barkman, Mikey, Big, Sandra, Christina Downs. Y'all are, there's about 10 of you who are starting with me and we're connecting, and, almost took the words out of my mouth, right? That if we can build a community in future, if this thing continues to grow, I'd love to meet you guys and moderate. I was actually listening to a podcast where there's a lady who's been doing courses and this one lady's been with her for 10 years, and she now actually heads up a group of people that meet up with her and connect. They have like a private WhatsApp channel and all this amazing stuff. LOL, did Eddie get scared off? I feel sorry for him. Yeah, I don't know if he got scared off. I know that from what he's told me and from the little bits and pieces, that the way he was just interacting in his age and stuff like that, that there's maybe a bit of an immaturity there, and who knows from what, right? If it's mental health or if it's just because he really loves stickers. And so we just do the best we can for him. We pray for him, and if he comes back, we put up with him like everyone put up with us as we were growing up or learning at different mental strides and mental capacities in our lives. So appreciate that. So Untapped, hopefully that answered your question. I don't know if it did or not. And if you have any follow-ups, I can definitely chat about that. I have no problem chatting about the big V, the CV. But again, I do take it with a amount of trepidation because, there are a lot of people who get really intense about it and are really are willing to almost fight over it. And I saw friendships dissolve over what was being put in people's bodies, and people who I really respected, who I didn't agree with, but I also just left it at the respect factor. And of course, when people's jobs are on the line and stuff like that, it made me really sad that that was happening. But I would always go back to the idea that there's people losing their lives because of their faith, much less their jobs because of a choice. And so I put myself up in that sense. There's other people who suffered greatly because of it. My cousin, my cousin died from a brain aneurysm, and they thought it was from the vaccine. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, brother. I've heard stuff like that. There's actually someone who you could watch. His name is Dr. John Williams, I think it is. Let me just make sure that I'm not wrong. Fact check myself here. Dr. John Campbell. Sorry, John Campbell. I think he's got about 4 million subscribers, and he talks about a lot of these types of things in depth. Yeah, I would definitely check out Dr. John Campbell. I'm just going to pop it in the chat here. He, and he just recently spoke to, or was speaking to another Dr. Sadiq, who's a pretty cool doctor as well. But Dr. John Campbell, he's an amazing doctor who, has seen a lot of things, and he just goes through the research. So again, I'm not really pro or against it in a lot of ways, but he's talked about stuff like that where people have been hurt because of it, or there's been issues, with the vaccine or the way it, is in the body and the systems, or how it works. And he goes through papers and stuff like that. So hopefully Dr. John Campbell can help. He's made over 3,000 videos on health in general. So he's no slouch, and he's amazing at just breaking down information. So if you wanted to get more of a deep dive into that, please, take a look at Dr. John Campbell's channel. He's a wealth of knowledge in so many ways. I'm really sorry to hear that your cousin died from a brain aneurysm, and it's anything's possible with new technology, and as they perfect it, things will change. I think if I understand correctly, the mRNA technology for cancer. So I think it's helping with cancer treatments in general. Used to develop personalized cancer vaccines that train the immune system to target and destroy cells. So the mRNA in particular vaccine or drug or whatever you want to call it has been around for some time, but obviously they pushed it when it came to the big CVs. So yeah. All right, Babu says, is it true if a girl loves you, she will never leave you no matter how hard things get? Okay, I have 2 daughters. If you're talking about how hard things get because the guy is a jerk, or he's cheating on her, or he's nasty acting, or he's a criminal, well, then if she sticks around, I will be, by God's grace, trying my best to get her and her sister and a bunch of other family members to get her out of there. No. If you're talking about harder things in the sense of like, sickness and health issues and financial problems, as long as you're not wasting your money and so on and so forth, that's a completely different scenario. So I don't know what it means by how hard things get. But if you as a man are a fantastic lover, and not sexual wise, I mean, you lead in love. You give her a platform to respond. Like one of my favorite preachers says that the word submit, like you would submit a resume, is like respond, but the word submit has been totally undermined and destroyed essentially. So let's say the word respond. When Peter is saying, wives, submit or respond to your husbands, and vice versa, men do the same thing. He's saying it from a basis of love and from doing things that your wife would want to respond to. So if you are a man who is just loving and trying to outlove his spouse and thinking about her in every way possible, that her life is better because of the choices that you're making, as long as they're godly choices, of course she's going to want to stick it out with you. There's no question. You financials, health, all these things, because she's probably never going to meet a man who treats her that way. And for the most part, both men and women, but women tend to lean a little bit more in the side of emotional and relational. But when you're giving off that energy and that love and that deep care, they're absolutely going to want to latch onto you for the rest of their lives. And that's what it says. And vice versa, we should do the same when we meet a woman who challenges us, who wants us to respond, to lead in the home, to be providers, to be loving men, to be open and to be emotional and to be, vulnerable and share those things that we're nervous and scared about. That is when a woman will not want to leave, and vice versa. When we meet that kind of a woman, we don't want them to leave either. So we're willing to go through those really tough things in life. So if a girl truly loves you and you're treating her correctly, and the hard things are not you or whoever the man is abusing her or destroying her or taking advantage of her or cheating on her, yeah, I definitely believe that's the case. My wife married this. That's terrible. You know what I mean? Like, for most people, they wouldn't want to do it. But I think that I lead in love and I try to do those things that I'm explaining to you. And, my wife has gone through a lot with me already, and I've gone a lot with her as well. And love is definitely a choice. You choose to love that other person, because there's going to be plenty of moments when they don't seem lovable or you don't seem very lovable. So, you have to take the relationship in stride, and you have to never take it for granted, and just know that, yeah, 100%. If she does love you, she will not leave you when things get rough and tough, because it is a tough world out there, and meeting someone who's like a friend or a best friend is really hard, much less meeting the right woman. And that's what I was going back to as you asked the question about being in your 20s. What attributes do you want to have? Well, those are the type of attributes I think you should be looking towards. You can rewatch the stream here by probably midday tomorrow to kind of review some of those things. But if you're in your 20s, I'd say go after those things and really fortify yourself as a loving, kind, caring, meek man that is filled with strength and power, but it's under control. And, the right women will start coming and knocking. I promise you that. You only need to marry one, right? So just do the best you can to be the best man that you can be. Okay. So appreciate all the questions tonight. Again, so glad Untapped you got through. Babu, thank you for being the warrior, man. You are definitely here all the time. You are amazing. Appreciate you. Thanks Untapped for the questions. Odele for showing up tonight. Barkman, Mikey, Christina, Biggs, appreciate you. Anyone else who's been watching and hasn't said anything, appreciate you a bunch. Just love doing this thing. So yeah, I'm going to just pray now, and then if there's any other questions or comments, I will try to answer it. But if not, then deuces, everybody. All right, so let me just quickly pray here. Lord Jesus, I just want to thank you so much for this wonderful evening. Thank you for these great questions, conversations. I'm glad that Untapped and Babu are connecting a lot more. Thank you for Odele showing up. Pray for his channel. I'm going to go check it out right now in the right after when I have some time. I just thank you for these collected guys who've come and you've streamed with us at a short time or still streaming with us. I pray that you would just reach into their lives and allow them to seek the right mentorship, the right help, the right friendships, the right advice, because there's so much good and bad advice out there. Even from people who have really good intentions, they may not be giving the right advice, and from people who sometimes can be terrible acting, but they have the right thing to say. Lord, help us to be able to decipher who is a good person to learn from and really see it in their fruits in their life. I just want to thank you so much for all the things that we're learning, the things you're teaching me, even through doing this, and how much time I get to study and just enjoy and look into things and put those that introspection into my life and really just say, am I doing these things? Am I right with the people around me? Am I allowing my wife to respond to me in a loving way because I'm leading in love, I'm leading in protection and kindness, and she feels very secure and comfortable, and she feels like we are one flesh together. I pray for these guys, if they're not in relationships, that you give them the right relationships. I thank you so much for relationships for life and inevitably for all the beautiful things that come with marriage, but that they would take their time and again find the right people to help them along the way, even myself on some level, if I can answer questions or help in the future. Pray for the future of this channel, the connections it's making, and again, the guys who are connecting in it. And who knows, maybe in 10 years or 5 years, we'll be on a cruise ship somewhere laughing about these, the humble beginnings here. But I'm really, really just so thankful for how you're blessing and connecting myself and others to such a unique experience together to talk about manhood online and just all the things that go along with it. I want to pray for the Philippines and the earthquakes again, for the persecuted church, for Nigeria. It's particular right now with all the religious attacks on Christianity. Just pray for peace and for the peace treaty to continue to happen in the Middle East right now with Palestine and Israel. Lord, thank you so much for this wonderful time. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, appreciate you guys. I think I will call this 12:01. All right, I think I will call it a night. Appreciate you guys again. Just can't say it over and over. So I'll just say in closing, whatever I have said that is not from the Holy Spirit, please remove it from their minds. And Lord, correct me. Thank you so much, oh God, for being with us on this stream. In Jesus' name, amen. Have yourselves, have a good night, guys. Babu, Barkman, good to spend time with y'all. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm looking pretty tired. It's my haggard look. Appreciate you guys. So I'll end the chat as I always do. I'm Stephen Tocher. Have yourself a wonderful day, evening, morning, or night. God bless you.